rural folks, which is 80% of the poor in the Philippines, living in islands or mountains, they don't have access to the things that they need to develop. So imagine not having electricity, not having education, not having healthcare. It's very hard for a community to develop. So what we try to do is to provide products and services, that are essential for their development. So one of our biggest products would be solar lanterns with charging. And what we find is that these communities are using either kerosene or dry cell batteries for their flashlights and their radios. Interestingly, they all have cell phones, but they have no place to charge them unless they walk an hour to charge their cell phones. So what we find with our products is once they have light, they're actually able to save money because they don't buy kerosene anymore. At the same time, they can use the light to increase their livelihood. So if you've got a store and you keep it open at night, your sales go up. If you're making baskets, you can actually make more baskets more quickly because with better light, you're more productive. Some of them actually use it in the fields, like farmers. We have farmers who have used it to drive away fruit bats, which eat the fruits at night in the trees, or they use it to drive away pigs. Wild pigs come into the cornfields at night, and when the corn is ripe, they'll come in and they'll really start rooting up the crops. So it's not unusual for many of our customers to lose 30 to 40% of their crops from foragers and predators. With our solar lantern, this one lady who was able to drive away the bats was able to make so much more money, she bought a motorcycle. And she credits that motorcycle to the fact that she had a solar lantern. Now, on top of this, of course, in addition to livelihood, there's also the education benefits. So what we find is that the kids are much more interested in studying, and they end up studying 45% longer. The reason is, if you imagine using a candle to study and you've got 2 or 3 brothers and sisters, first thing that happens is you're fighting over the light. Right? Second thing that happens is when it's windy, the light goes out. Right? If you close the door, to protect you from the wind, then it becomes smoky, and their eyes start watering. So it's not a very pleasant experience to study, but once they've got it, it's great. And of course, from a health standpoint, from a safety standpoint, our customers feel so much safer and healthier. And safety is a really big issue. 40% of our customers have had either the house burn or a child get burned. We reach them mainly by partnering with organizations that are somehow working in those communities already. So it could either be an NGO, it could be a cooperative of farmers, it could be a microfinance institution. And so we tend to leverage organizations that are already in these communities. And what happens is when we approach them, we say, would you be interested in a product that will provide light and electricity? And of course, they all say yes, because they see they're working in conditions without electricity. We specifically target areas, partners working in places without electricity. And so once they are interested, we then work on a solar electrification program. So we've got a whole package of things in terms of product training and how to market it and how to maintain it and how to finance it, that has been developed into modules. So we sit down and train our partners on that. And then we go with them on caravans to go around to the villages to show them how to actually go and market it and demo it. So once that works, and they achieve success, we support that until it builds to a point where it's self-sustaining. I think the first thing I would say is that you have to anchor the activity in terms of the experience that you want to deliver to the customers. Right? At the end of the day, don't treat them as beneficiaries. Don't treat them as sort of people that you're making donations to, or it's not charity. It's about these are people with needs, right? And businesses exist to provide solutions and products that fill needs, right? And so you really have to understand what the needs are and what is it that will actually kind of meet those needs. For example, people assume because they're poor, they can only afford cheap stuff. Well, it's just the opposite, right? If they're in the field and they're using it in the rain, on the boat, right, in the farm, they need products that can last. They have to be durable. They have to be waterproof, right? So actually, what happens? They're a bit more expensive, right? So of course, it's hard for them to afford it. So, but then don't give them something cheap. Find a way to enable them to afford it, and that's where financing comes in, right? Now, if you're going to do financing, the bank doesn't want to lend if the product's going to break. Because if the product breaks, then they're not going to get paid back. So the bank also wants a durable product, right? So actually what you need is a durable product because that's what the customer needs and that's what the financer needs.